You already know you're going to die. Not in the abstract. Not in the philosophical sense that you acknowledge when someone brings it up and then immediately move on from. In the specific, biological, irreversible sense, your body is already in the process of it, has been since the moment it began. Every cell in you is operating on a clock you didn't set and cannot stop. You know this. You have always known this. And yet, look at your week. Look at the conversations you didn't have, the things you didn't say, the person you've been meaning to call, the dream you've been meaning to begin, the life you've been meaning to start living once things settle down, once the timing is right, once you feel ready. You are not waiting for the right moment. You are waiting for a feeling of urgency that you have decided you don't have yet. This video is about what happens when that feeling arrives, when the waiting ends, not because you chose to end it, but because something happened that made the waiting impossible to continue. And it is about the question underneath all of that. Why does it take a death sentence to make most people start living? There is a notification that every human being receives at birth. Not in words, not in any form that can be filed or ignored or swiped away, but in the body itself, in the architecture of every cell, in the design of every organ, in the simple biological fact of being alive. The notification says, "This is temporary." And what we do with that notification, from the moment we're old enough to understand it to the moment it becomes impossible to deny, is one of the most revealing things about what it means to be human. Most people do not read it, not fully. They receive it, and they place it somewhere at the back of everything. Not forgotten exactly, but not consulted. Like a document you know exists but never open, because opening it would require you to do something about what it says. And so the days pass, and the weeks, and the years, and the notification sits there, unread, while you organize your life around everything except the one fact that should be organizing it. Think about how you spent last week. Not the highlights, the ordinary texture of it, the hours, what they contained, what they didn't. If you removed everything you did out of obligation, out of habit, out of the management of other people's expectations, what would remain? How much of last week was yours? How much of it was the life you would have chosen if you had genuinely believed in your body, and not just your mind, that the weeks are numbered? The answer most people arrive at is uncomfortable, because most people, when they examine it honestly, find that very little of their ordinary life reflects what they would do if they knew they were running out of time. And they are. We all are. The notification was accurate. The clock is real. The only variable is whether you consult it. There is a specific moment that people who have received serious medical diagnoses describe in almost identical language across cultures, ages, and circumstances. They call it clarity. Not the clarity of having answers, the clarity of suddenly knowing which questions matter, of looking at their life and seeing, with a precision that had never been available before, exactly what was essential and exactly what was not. The commute that consumed 2 hours a day stops being a background condition and becomes a choice. The relationship that was fine but not alive stops being manageable and becomes unbearable. The creative work that was always going to happen someday stops being a future intention and becomes an emergency. One woman described it this way. She said, "I got my diagnosis on a Tuesday. By Thursday, I had called 3 people I had not spoken to in years, not to tell them about the diagnosis, to tell them what they meant to me, because suddenly I could not understand why I had not already done that. What exactly had I been waiting for? That question, what exactly had I been waiting for, is the one this video is really about. Because the diagnosis did not create new information. She already knew she was mortal. She had known since childhood. The diagnosis simply made it impossible to continue behaving as if the information wasn't there. And here is what the research on mortality shows consistently. People who have faced serious illness do not report that they wish they had worked more. They do not report that they wish they had been more careful. They do not report that they wish they had kept more distance from the people they loved. They report the opposite. Every time, across every culture, across every age group, across every economic circumstance. They wish they had said the things they didn't say, gone to the places they kept postponing, forgiven the people they kept the grudge against, not because the grudge felt good, but because releasing it felt like surrender. They wish they had spent less time managing how they appeared and more time actually being present in the life that was happening while they were busy managing it. The diagnosis did not teach them anything new. It removed the comfortable fiction that they had infinite time to begin. Let me ask you something directly. There is a conversation you have not had. You know exactly which one. The person is alive. The possibility is still open. And every day you don't have it, you add another layer of justification for why today is not the right day. The timing isn't right. They're not ready. You're not ready. It would be too much. It would change things. What you are really saying is, I am not ready to stop pretending that I have unlimited time to have it. There is a place you have been meaning to go. A thing you have been meaning to create, a version of yourself you have been meaning to become, once the current version finishes whatever it's in the middle of. And that thing, and that place, and that version keep receding as you advance toward them, because the advancing itself requires you to confront why you haven't already arrived. There is a person you love who doesn't know the full extent of it, not because you don't feel it. Because saying it completely, without protection, without the hedge of humor or implication or assumption that they already know. Saying it fully would require a vulnerability that you have decided to save for a more appropriate moment. There is no more appropriate moment. There is only this one, and then the next one. And at some point, there will not be a next one. And at that point, the conversation will be impossible, and the place will be unvisited, and the version of you will have remained unmade, and the person will not know what they meant to you in the specific, full, unhedged way that you could have told them. This is not a warning. It is an invitation. The urgency is already there. You simply haven't consulted it yet. Ernest Becker spent his career studying one question. Why do humans act the way they do? And his answer, arrived at after decades of research, was both simple and devastating. Almost everything humans do is a response to the terror of death. Not consciously, not deliberately, but structurally. The ambition, the legacy building, the need to be remembered, the religions and the ideologies and the great projects of civilization. Becker argued that all of it is an elaborate system for managing the awareness that we are going to die. We build things that will outlast us. We attach ourselves to causes larger than our individual lives. We create children who will carry something of us forward. We accumulate achievements that feel like they add up to something permanent. We pursue significance as if significance could make mortality negotiable. And while none of this is wrong exactly, the buildings and the children and the achievements are real. The motivation underneath them is sometimes less about what we're building and more about what we're running from. Because if you are building your career primarily to leave a legacy, rather than because the work itself is alive to you, you are not really living the career. You are using it as armor against the awareness of your own temporariness. And the cruelest irony of this armor is that it prevents the very thing it is supposedly building toward. You cannot be fully present in a life you are using primarily as evidence that you existed. You cannot love fully in a relationship you are treating primarily as proof that you were worth loving. You cannot create freely in work you are performing primarily for the permanence it might provide. The armor against death prevents the life it was meant to protect. Here is the Lacanian truth at the center of everything this video has been building toward. The death is not coming to take your life. It is coming to reveal it. Lacan understood that human desire exists in relation to absence, that we only know what we truly want when we are confronted with the possibility of not having it. And death is the ultimate confrontation, the absence that cannot be negotiated or managed or deferred. But what the confrontation reveals is not what you are about to lose. It reveals what you have already been losing, quietly, daily, in the ordinary texture of a life organized around everything except the fact that it is finite. The hours spent performing rather than living. The words left unsaid because the moment never felt safe enough. The dreams deferred until the conditions were right. And the conditions were never right because right conditions are what you build, not what you wait for. The love given partially, always with one hand slightly held back, just in case. Death doesn't steal your life. It shows you the receipts of what you spent it on. And this is the paradox that should break you open and put you back together at the same time. The only moment most people begin to live fully is when they discover they are running out of time to do it. The diagnosis doesn't create urgency. It removes the last excuse for pretending urgency is optional. You don't change what you do when you know you're going to die. You stop pretending that the knowledge was ever optional. Here is what the people who have been closest to death report about what they discovered on the other side of that proximity. Not that life became smaller, but that it became clearer. The things that mattered became unmistakably visible. The things that didn't stopped requiring energy they were never worth taking. The conversation happened. The trip was booked. The creative work was begun, not because the conditions were perfect, but because the alternative, never beginning, became visibly, specifically, unbearably worse than the risk of beginning imperfectly. The love was said, fully, without the hedge. Not because the outcome was guaranteed, but because not saying it was a form of dying before the death arrived. This is what living with the awareness of mortality actually looks like. Not morbidity, not paralysis, not the dramatic rearrangement of everything, just the quiet, daily, courageous refusal to treat the finite hours of your life as if they were infinite. 5 minutes of a conversation you've been postponing for 2 years. One honest sentence to someone who doesn't know what they mean to you. One beginning on the thing you've been waiting to be ready for. Every wisdom tradition that has accompanied human beings through the awareness of death has arrived at the same truth in different words. That the life on the other side of the fear of death is not a different life. It is this life, seen clearly, without the comfortable fiction of unlimited time softening its edges. Whatever you believe about what comes after, and that belongs entirely to you. The invitation of mortality is the same across every faith and every culture and every century of human experience. to be here, fully, now, without the performance, without the deferral, without the management of an impression that will outlast you by exactly no time at all. You already received the notification. You have always known. The only question that remains is what you are going to do with the hours between now and when the knowing becomes impossible to act on. Before you go, I want to ask you one question, and I want you to answer it honestly, not for me, for you. If you found out today that you had 1 year left, what is the first thing you would do differently? Don't think about the big things. Think about tomorrow. One thing, one conversation, one beginning. Drop it in the comments. Just one thing. I'll read every single one. If this reached something you've been deferring, subscribe. This is what we do at The Phrase Decoder. We ask the questions that the ordinary day makes it too easy to avoid. And sometimes asking them is the beginning of everything.